Chris actually had a set point in the second set.
She had a few of them, but they were in the tie break, and she was very distressed that she hadn't managed to win that match.
And by the way, it was the first time that Natalia Zvereva has beaten Kruseva.
She's beaten practically everybody now, with the exception of Graf and Sabatini. She's beaten Sukova, Shriver. She's becoming a player that people are scared of. But there is not much that she's going to be able to do against Martina's serve if Martina continues to serve this well.
What a volley. He had to get down so low and then to find that kind of an angle. First game of the match, and by the way, I heard you and Teddy Tinling talking about it. You said the first games are going to be very important in this match.
I think that is absolutely right. I think that if Martina gets ahead at the beginning of this match, it's going to be all Martina. And in her history, we have always considered Martina a front runner. Not to say that she isn't a good fighter, but it's very hard to get close to her if she gets ahead.
First game of the match. Martina Navratilova wins the first game on serve. 1 game to love in the final of the women's singles, Virginia Slims of New England. We'll be back. But I'm going to call it the major upset, Virginia, of the French Open this year was when Zvereva beat Navratilova. Nobody was expecting it. It was in the third round. And, well, sometimes something like that happens in the early stages of the French Championships, and that's as far as it goes. In this case, of course, it wasn't. Zvereva got all the way to the final, was destroyed by Graf, admittedly, but she had some outstanding results on the way to the final, in addition to the win against Martina.
Well, that to me is what this match will all be about. If Martina can execute that backhand chip of hers down the line onto Zvereva's backhand and keep it really low and really rush her, I think she's going to take control. And that is what happened after Paris in Eastbourne on grass. She managed to do that and won easily. Again, that was a brilliant effort of Zvereva, those 2 consecutive tournaments, the French on clay and then the grass court tournaments, get to the final.
I always feel like Martina goes out with a game plan, and clearly her game plan, if this is any indication, she's going to try to attack the second serve and come in, and I agree with you, that's when she's at her best.
Well, a little unlucky on that, but I also feel that the improvement Martina has been making has been reaching for that wide forehand. I certainly know that when they played in Paris, every time Zvereva hit that big forehand down the line, Martina had trouble, and she made that shot right then.
Kruseva was Zvereva's hero. As I said, she beat her hero for the first time yesterday in the semi-final here. She has a 2-handed backhand just like Chris.
Bad luck.
But only just.
And just to go on about Chris's match, Chris had a very tough tournament. She was a match point down against Barbara Potter in the quarterfinal, and she had a long match against Gretchen Majors, tie-break in the third set. So she must have been a little bit weary last night. Well, Natasha seems to be playing Martina's forehand on that left court there. And she got one time before, but that one was too good for Martina.
Deuce, second game. Her given name is Natalia, and Virginia, when you call her Natasha, that is her nickname. I guess most people, when they talk to her, call her that.
Yeah, she's generally called Natasha for short. Not much shorter, is it?
No, but it kind of sounds nicer.
Yeah, for friendly.
Game point. Good moving.
Isn't that fantastic? And that forehand from Zvereva down the line is such a good shot, but only Martina could get to it. And this is what we thought might happen.
Well, what we said was that if Martina gets off to a good start, it may be quick, this match. We'll see. 2 games to love, serve break, first set.
Hit that ball so early. When Natasha beat her, as we just watch this return, just see how she gets it way out in front and uses her hands, flicks her wrist through.
That's where I think she's lost some, Virginia, on that second serve. There's not the bite that there was a year or 2 ago.
I have to agree with you. I must say that this girl is a breath of fresh air with some of her stroke production, because suddenly she comes out with amazing shots like that, and that's the second serve of Martinez. She was a little slow getting right off the mark, and that's why she didn't get inside the service line before she hit the ball.
Loose volley. And Martina in trouble on serve.
That was not a particularly special serve, but it won the point, and sometimes I feel that Martina errs in the way of trying to make too much variety on her service, and then she gets herself a little confused.
What an athlete.
Great point.
Especially getting up to the first overhead. That was very nearly over her.
Against Sabatini, she was love 40 on a huge game at 4-all, and she said apparently to herself, and she said afterwards, just play 1 point at a time.
This is still break point, second serve. Natalia, Zvereva of the Soviet Union. Martina Navratilova, 2-1, but we're on serve. We'll be back. Best of 3, of course, and I say that, Virginia, because now not every women's final is best of 3.
No, because the Virginia Slims Championships will be coming up the week after next, and the final, they play the best of 5 there.
Do you like that?
I don't see why not on the odd occasion. I don't really wouldn't go for it all the time. Well, that was a great point, because a very good return from Martina. But you see, when she comes in on the forehand, she can't make the ball sit down so much as she can when she slices the backhand. gives Natasha a second chance.
30 love. You know, the players from the Soviet Union for years never got any of their prize money. They weren't even professionals. Well, they are now, and I'm trying to find out just how much percentage-wise of the prize money they get. I get no answer, though. A percentage, they say, goes to the players, a percentage to the federation, and a percentage to the agents. But I cannot figure out what percentage.
Well, you're not going to see much better ground court play than that. But Martina, I felt, against Sabatini, got herself into a little trouble when she tried the touch shots. I don't know what the question is there from Natasha.
All right. Sir, with the camera, would you move back a little bit, please?
Television camera. Right in the corner. Well, they're hitting the ball very deep and having to cover a lot of space.
Tom Fayed in the chair. Just as well for our man that he clears out of there in that case.
Well, we were sitting down in the corner, and if one of the players doesn't return a serve, those balls come whistling through.
Game point.
Game Zvereva.
2 games all first set. Martina won the first 2, and then Natalia came right back with 2 games all first set. She won $123,000 at the French Championships this year, Natalia Zvereva. She has made $226,000, so that money question and how much they keep is kind of interesting.
It was really at the French that they decided that it was high time they went professional and could take the money, the Soviet Association, rather than the money going back to the tournaments. That sort of money was worth changing your principles on.
Adds up.
$15
Natalia checking what she thinks was the mark a little disgustedly, but she's happy with it.
And the lines do skid through, so if the ball pops off a line, you get a weird bounce.
As you saw, Natalia has not beaten Martina indoors yet. She has beaten her outdoors twice, as we mentioned, once at the French and once in the Canadian Open. That played in Montreal this year.
Tremendous dive by Martina. What a feeling of satisfaction when you do that. You make the dive, you are pretty much out of position, but that ball bounced backwards.
Like a wedge to the green, actually. It had a good bite on it. Another one. And another winner.
And the short balls die on the surface. Not that I think Martina had a choice what she was going to do with that. But a little disgust from that because Natasha really tried and couldn't get there.
Game point, Martina. 2 games all first set. Twice indoors that they've played. Once last year in the Virginia Slims of Chicago and then the Virginia Slims of California this year, early in the year. Both won by Martina.
Game number 3-2.
Martina Navratilova, number 2 player in the world, ahead now, but on serve. 3-2 first set. More in a moment. They don't like that at all.
No, especially a Georgian.
But she is Russian. Well, she had a great year, as we mentioned. Well, she had some good tournaments and some not so good. The French Open was her best, of course. She lost to Steffi Graf badly, just over 30-minute final, 6-love, 6-love. But she beat Nicole Probus, Helena Sukova, who was seeded 6, Martina Navratilova, Melissa Gurney, on the way there. And the next tournament she played Martina again, lost to her on grass at Eastbourne, and lost to her rather convincingly, 6-2, 6-2.
But she did well to get to a final of that tournament on grass, which you wouldn't think was her best surface. You know, the touch shot didn't pay off again for Martina. It wasn't a good enough drop shot.
Dirty love. You know, Olga Morozova, after that grass court performance of hers, said, you know, there's not a single grass court in the Soviet Union.
I can believe that. Although they're beginning actually to have private clubs in the Soviet Union. One of the past great Soviet players, Alex Metrovelli, is building one. Things are changing. At the beginning of this match, you said you thought that Martina came out with a plan in her head, and that seems to be when she plays well. Suddenly, she seems to be trying to do too much. Instead of coming in with her famous chip on the backhand, she goes for that very ambitious topspin shot, and errors come.
Game point. 40-15. Glasnost has definitely had its effect. She is not here with her father. She's with another coach here, but they say, although he speaks no English, that he's very forthcoming and through his interpreter will answer any questions. That didn't used to be true.
Well, the serve has improved of Natasha, and it's so interesting when you look at a young player on their way up the ladder, what they start developing, and the serve, there's nothing wrong with that action at all, just very nice all the way. And she's getting a little bit more powerful. She has grown in the last year. So even 6 months ago when she played Martina indoors, she wasn't as good a player as she is today.
3 games all first set.
Bad luck. That was really a good shot.
She beat Nicole Provis again at the Canadian Open, then Martina, then Pam Shriver, and lost the final to Gabriela Sabatini in Montreal.
Very good shot. Martina was not at her best in that match in Montreal. She had just changed rackets. She hadn't played a tournament since Wimbledon, and she was made to look actually sort of fairly pedestrian against Natasha, and that's not something you can say very often about Martina. Great serve. Excellent balance, and I don't know that anybody could have judged which side that serve was going.
Game point. It's 4 games to 3 now for Martina in the first set. This is the best of 3, the Virginia Slims of New England women's singles final. 60,000 to 13,453,000, which is Martina's career prize money, and you might end up with what she will have at the end of the match today. Of course, Zvereva has played relatively so little tennis that she is just building her fortune. I say, played so little tennis, that's relative, because she's played a lot of tennis this year. She's been on the tour almost all year.
She has, and she's played something like 15 tournaments, and she does look just slightly tired to me. And, you know, we were saying that she isn't... Well, I'll continue in a second. It's a good shot. We were saying that she isn't quite as light-hearted as one came to think of her. She has a tremendous sense of humor, this young Russian girl, and she's been sort of, you know, as if she's a little bit tired and a little bit bored. Maybe, you know, maybe again now she's playing for money. It's more pressure on her.
30-15.
Plus, of course, she was in Tokyo. You know, it's one thing to add up those advantage miles, but it takes its toll.
And she was, of course, in the Olympics because that was one of the reasons that the Russians came back into tennis. They had a hiatus for many years, and then once tennis was established in the Olympics, they were back in force.
Just 17 years old, remember.
Very close.
30-all.
Second double fault.
And remember that point, because at 3-4, that could be a very important point in the match. 30-all, 3-4, Navratilova leads. First set. She knew exactly where it's going.
Martina sort of hesitated when she made that passing shot.
40-30.
Yeah, she's telling us how she should have hit that backhand.
Game point.
Game Zvereva.
And game. Is Zvereva. She beat Stephanie Rahe here, 7-5, 6-2. And then Chris Evert yesterday in the semi-final.
And this forehand, she changes directions. You cannot tell with her either which way she's going to hit the ball. And Martina is afraid of the one she hits down the line. They do play quite to a pattern, these two. And the pattern is that it seems that Martina is intimidated by the two-handed backhand. So she'll play a lot of cross-court backhands, Martina, to Natasha. And then suddenly when Natasha gets an opportunity, she thumps the one down the line. Natasha also tends to serve to Martina's forehand because she's afraid of that backhand coming in. Good serve.
15-all.
4 games all, 15-all. The doubles final. Martina will play again this afternoon with Pam Shriver against Gabriela Sabatini and Sukova.
And there it was again, the forehand down the line from Natasha, which won her the point.
Big point for Martina. If she loses this one, 2 break points for Natalia.
30-all.
Good choice of serve direction, I thought, down the forehand side for good play. One of the tough serves to return is the left-hander's serve into the right-hander's right hip.
Left-hander serve's always tough to return for a right-hander. Solid volley, but it was the same game yesterday against Sabatini that Martina was in a spot of trouble, like love 40 at 4-all. And of course it's the last game with the old ball, so they're a little bit slower.
Top spin round is long. Martina in trouble in that game. Holds on to serve. So she's ahead on serve. 5-4 first set. We will start just a half an hour later next week from Chicago, the Virginia Slims of Chicago, another event that will be part of the LaSalle 10 Super Series of Women's Tennis. Join us for that, please. Another fine entry there. And by the way, Natalia's father will be there. He was supposed to come in last night here, didn't make it for one reason or another, but he will be there, and he is her coach. Whether that'll make a difference or not, who knows. She's in good shape here on serve, trailing 4-5 first set.
Well, again, Martina was under a lot of pressure with that forehand down the line from Zvereva, but she handled that and missed the easy one.
And we talked about her drop shot, Virginia. We haven't seen it today because, of course, Martina's going to attack it.
That's for sure.
Out! 30 love.
Again, I'm not absolutely sure whether she would have gained anything from hitting that with the topspin. She might have actually been better off playing at the safer shot for her, keeping the ball low. An underspin backhand.
40 love.
Little lack of concentration maybe from Martina. The new balls do come through though fast. Don't often hear a foot fault being called.
No. First one at this match. Attempted topspin lob just too short, though.
And that just gets her so many free points, Martina. That wonderful slice return of serve off the backhand. Martina putting a lot of pressure on the second serve, ready to pounce. And not at her happiest today. Mind you, it's hard to be at your happiest, I guess, when you're playing against somebody as good as Martina.
Still game point for Natalia.
She and Larissa Savchenko lost late last night in the doubles to Martina and Pam. See how effective that slice backhand is. It stays so low, and the court is possibly a little bit uneven the way it's laid, so that they can bounce a little bit oddly.
Players say that the court is playing a little faster than normal, which should help Martina. It's deuce. Oh.
Court shot wasn't deep enough.
It was kind of low, though, wasn't it? Outstanding passing shot from Natalia, and if she had not made it, it would have been set point for Martina. Another game point, though, for the Russian.
Well, great play from Martina, but let's give it to Natasha also on that, because she has a two-handed backhand, but she has shown us that she's happy to use the one-handed backhand and as the approach shot and stay up at the net.
Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, no flash cues, no flash photography during play. Thank you.
The volley from Natalia just way too short. Martina had a good long look at it. That's all she needed.
Well, and it just shows you that it's worth fighting for everything, because she was out of that point so much, just retrieving, but it paid off.
Set point for Navratilova. chips and comes in behind this one. Second serve.
Oh, wow. Did you see where she was standing? She was way over towards the middle line saying, I'm going to take this on my forehand, whatever. Took it on her forehand.
Well, you know, her new coach, Tim Gullickson, said that she should do that just to put the fear of the serve in who is ever serving to. It's not a bad idea, just to work.
Certainly, I know. See her bouncing there. It's pretty hard to keep calm.
What a chance, though. The serve was coming short. Deuce.
She's got another second serve. Natalia getting a little edgy on her first serve. Under pressure. And that's the shot. Wins the point every time if it's deep enough and low enough.
Second set point.
Well, look where she's standing again.
No, she wants the forehand. Oh.
What a shot. You know, when Chris had these 4-set points yesterday, she said, what would she do every time Natasha came up with some absolutely brilliant shot?
Time cross-court, next one down the line for the winner, so Zvereva now has the advantage.
She must be hard to read, you know, playing against her. The benefit of that two-fisted backhand conceals the direction. First time she's got a first serve in for ages, and they call it foot fault. God, that must be aggravating.
Martina that time attacking the forehand side, having given up on the attacking the backhand because she was passed on two very delicate and important occasions. But look at it again.
That's all right, Cliff. I'm sure she's afraid of the backhand, so she goes to the forehand a little more, and the forehand's not going to give it too much more, is it? Hard to know which way to play this, girl.
It is, isn't it? She's got the topspin of the forehand side. She seems to have a little more disguise of the backhand passing shot. Nevertheless, it's a good question, and I asked that of Ted Tinling earlier today, and I said, how do the rest of the players in the field tend to look at her game? And he said 60% feel like the backhand, or I should say, attack the backhand 60% and the forehand 40%. Interesting.
Well, I think that the most effective shot Martina has is that little chip down the line, but that's why I wonder why she hits forehands off the return. Martina didn't even get halfway to the net that time. That return was past her before she'd practically finished serving.
5 games all. Love 15.
Second ace.
Just wide.
I don't know that Martina meant that shot to be quite as short as it was, but it ended up being a good shot. Now, it's just interesting to watch Zvereva, the way she stands to return serve. Very different from Martina.
40-15.
That's the message you should take at either side, isn't it? Tim Gullickson is Martina's coach, as we mentioned, and he says you don't have to push Martina or try all kinds of motivational things. She's as disciplined as they come. I just need to kind of guide her and keep her on the right track.
Great serving.
After all, though, it's not been that good a year for Martina. We'll be back with more of this match between Navratilova and Zvereva. But that's one of the things, in addition to the $60,000, that the winner of this match will take home with her. Martina comes up with some great quotes from time to time. One of them for this year that I enjoyed was, she said, if this year was a fish, I'd throw it back. Zvereva serving 5-6 on serve.
Quiet, please. Ah! 15 low.
But Martina, we're just going to have a look at Zvereva's topspin forehand. You can see a nice smooth motion, continuous, starts low and finishes up high, over by the left ear. Very good. Sometimes her feet, I don't think, are absolutely in perfect position, but her hands are so good that it doesn't even matter for her.
15 all.
And those are the shots that I sometimes feel she gets tangled up with her feet. And she just didn't really make up her mind what to do with that shot. She needs first serves badly. Martina, obviously a little bit edgy herself right here, a little indecisive. Well, who wouldn't be at such a close point in the set? That is exceptional. She showed us all the topspin backhands, and then she gives us a slice backhand followed by a roll. That was the slice, and here, now what, can you tell what she's going to do with that? Brilliant.
Game point to get into a tiebreaker first set.
So good from Martina. Martina was practicing that shot a lot.
40-30.
In fact, I'm pleased to see that she's using more short angle shots. Such a good play, especially on a court like this where the ball doesn't come through.
Game Zvereva. 6-all.
Tiebreaker it will be in the first set. First set, 2-point lead will win the first set. Two player in the world, and Natalia Zvereva of the Soviet Union. Very much a part of the new guard in women's tennis, just 17 years old.
Again, Martina showing us that much better movement to the forehand side. She returned that ball with interest. But
it's a career record. Look at that, 172 over 75, and they're 3-3 this year. Zvereva has, percentage-wise, just about the same. Well, better record in 88, as you can see, 6-4.
it's hard to tell at this stage in the tie-break because both players look a little bit edgy, but Martina's serve has been fine, but her ground strokes are a little bit edgy. On the other hand, Natasha's serve has, the last two games, been really lacking a first serve. She might have got her nerves out, though.
And her second serve has been a little short.
I don't know why Martina missed that shot.
They've only played a tiebreaker once before. They've played 5 times. The French Open, Zvereva won it.
And that was a tension-filled match, my word. Rain delay. It's very quiet in here right now.
Well,
Took that ball early again. Jumped. A strange position for Zvereva on her return.
what an important point. That was nearly over her head, but Martina is such an outstanding athlete. She was able to get back to it. If she hadn't 4-1 in serving and this tiebreaker, well, you wouldn't have bet on Martina had she not won it, would you? She's still a mini breakdown. 3-2, Zvereva serving. They'll change sides after 6 points.
Well, and suddenly she did come up with that brilliant first serve, and this ball's just sitting and looking at her. But she can do anything at all. And Martina had no idea. So 4-2. That was a high lob. Never easy to hit an overhead like that on a big point.
2-5. Navratilova will have to win the next 2 on serve, or Natalia Zvereva will serve for the set. In fact, she'll serve for it even if Martina loses one. Or even if she wins them both, I should say.
Oh. That deserved a smile because it was such a good return, but Martina came out with an even better shot. Or maybe the smile was because she didn't think it was in.
That's what it was. It was more a look of anguish, I think. An important point. Won by Martina.
Great serve.
2 in a row. She needed them both. She's within 1 point of catching up. But remember that if Natalia Zvereva can win the next 2 points on serve, the set is history.
Natalia's been in 3 finals this year, but hasn't won any of them. In fact, they've been a little dismal. This isn't.
They get into a prolonged ground stroke rally. It is usually Martina who has trouble. 6-4, 2 set points for Zvereva. Well, Martina started out quickly. 2 games to love she led, but Zvereva came right back, won the next 2 games. Then they were on serve with the tiebreaker, finally won by Zvereva. 7 points rather to 4. We'll be back. Natalia Zvereva of the Soviet Union, Martina Navratilova of the United States, born in Czechoslovakia, of course, but things have changed as far as the tennis world is concerned. The inclusion of tennis in the Olympics has fired up all of those Eastern European countries, and well, Czechoslovakia has been so successful for so long, Romania to some extent. But you're going to see the Soviets and players from those countries really come on now, aren't you?
You suddenly have seen just a bunch of Soviet players, male and female, arrive on the scene, and they are very good. Well, what a shame. You know, we sort of feel we deserve a good drop shot because she does it so well, and she did it in exemplary fashion last night. I'd like to see one just for the kick of it. Martina suddenly started poking at her backhand. It really still is amazing, isn't it? She's been hitting the ball so well, and she's got to forget about that first serve, start off again, go for her shots a little more. That's a better shot.
15-30.
Chance for Martina, first game, second set.
Absolutely, because Natalia could definitely have a little bit of a let up at the beginning of the set.
Bad time to come up with a shot where she doesn't even make Natalia go for the Boston shot.
Yeah, and you couldn't understand the reasoning to go for the topspin shot on that. Now she's trying to get herself back, and she's got to be aggressive, so really for her being aggressive is getting to the net, not hitting harder.
To the all. You know, Chris Evert has an outstanding drop shot. Well, she said last night that the best drop shot she's ever seen was that of Natalia's off the backhand side, and Teddy Tinling said they were like feathers. They blew over the net. 11 clean winners.
I know.
Break point.
Game Navratilova.
Natalia Zvereva, not sure if she likes the call, but Martina has broken anyway. First game, second set. Zvereva won the first. Percentages are so important, especially to Martina Navratilova, 63%, just about an average for her.
And actually, surprising that Natalia's were higher, except that they were very high at the beginning and fell down towards the end of that set. But you can see that Martina had more winners and more losers.
15 love.
So as you'd expect, it's Martina Navratilova, the aggressor, who has the higher number in both columns. One game to love, 15 love, second set.
First serve.
And the beginning of the second set is very important, but also a very definite mood change. And it certainly is here today. Well, you're never going to get too far hitting a
15 all.
moderate speed serve to someone's forehand and coming in.
I'm not sure you can do it against Zvereva's backhand either, honestly.
No.
You either have to go for more on the second serve or otherwise stay back and wait your chance to come in.
So well, before we saw the slow motion of her hitting the topspin on the forehand. And this one, she hits the ball as it's still up high. She hits it early before the topspin really takes effect. And it's very hard to tell where she's going.
Thirty all.
Martina. You know, I think the players begin to look at the new players who come along and include the men in that. And Agassi's the one who makes the short angles, and I think Martina's suddenly, you know, woken up to the fact because she's using many more now than I've seen her use them earlier on in the year. Need to be reminded once in a while in tennis. Great serving.
In a little trouble at 15-30 on her serve. Martina holds on 2 games to love. Same score that she had in the first set, remember, before Natalia Zvereva came back. After this year's Wimbledon final, Martina said, I don't know if this is the end of an era, but it is the end of a chapter after she lost to Steffi Graf. If that's true, then certainly part of the new wave will be the young lady she's playing against today. In fact, already is, I suppose.
Well, the idea was pretty good, but the shot from Zvereva just too deep. Martina won 7 tournaments this year, but she lost in 6 of them, and of course that included all the Grand Slams. Too many double faults, fourth double fault. We were anticipating Martina playing Steffi so many times this year, and it only happened once in the final of Wimbledon. And that was really because Martina fell out of them earlier, the Grand Slam tournament.
Well, so much was being said about it and the rivalry between the two of them that I feel that Martina was looking...
30-15.
Martina's not happy with the call. She was looking at Steffi and forgetting about everybody else behind her. So Chris beat her in Australia, and then, of course, Natalia beat her in the French Championship. She played finally Steffi Graf in the final at Wimbledon, and she lost in the U.S. Open to Zina Garrison.
An amazing shot then. No, but I think that you're absolutely right with that. I think it's always important to not have bad losses. You know, you can tolerate losses to players that are perhaps better than you, but the bad losses are what lose you your confidence. That time Martina ran straight across the baseline. She didn't cut off the corner on that ball.
Game point. Zvereva.
A change of mind for Natasha there. She toyed with coming into the net, gave that up as a bad idea and didn't get anywhere.
By Martina.
Advantage number
5 years ago, she lost only 1 match all year. She played 87 and lost only 1. She has so darn many records, Martina, that we tend to lose sight of them when she hasn't done as well this year as she has. But make no mistake, you're looking at one of the fine women athletes of all time in any sport.
Without question.
Great point. a drop shot. What a time to do it. If it hadn't worked, Martina would have had 2 breaks in the second set.
She certainly is still so young that she comes up with these literally outrageous shots. Isn't it a picture? Came just carved under that ball. And you know that it's good if Martina cannot get there. You know, you look at Natasha and you have the feeling that she's playing this set as if she lost the first set in a tiebreak and she's depressed. But she still manages to hit a pretty good percentage of good shots. Just feel her concentration let up a touch.
Well, Martina has now 2 serve breaks, 3 games to love in the second set. She lost the first in a tiebreaker. Virginia Slims of New England. We'll be back. Navratilova and Natalia Zvereva. I'm Cliff Drysdale along with Virginia Wade. Navratilova serving, 3 games to love. Second set, she lost the first in a tiebreaker.
Well, and she certainly needs a few of those shots now, because if she doesn't stem the flow of Martina, Martina's going to get her confidence right back, and she might as well not have won the first set. Wild return. You know, you just can't afford in a tennis match to lose your concentration at all, because if you start making a few errors, not only does your own game go down, but the others improves.
It's inexperience, though, isn't it, in Natalia's case? She's so young. She has to battle so hard for the first set, and she loses it for just a while.
Just so relieved, especially of a tiebreak.
40-15.
A dodgy backhand, and you haven't seen too many of them from Natalia.
But, you know, at least she's had a pretty good first set here, but she needs, strangely enough, to start winning a tournament, because before you know it, you can build up a reputation for getting to the final and not playing well in the final, and you're the person who begins to worry about that.
Martina had that reputation for a while, didn't she?
Long. How long ago was that?
Navratilova, 4 games to love now in the second set. You know, Ivan Lendl said something interesting about being from Czechoslovakia. He said the thinking of the Czech people is that it's a small nation. Their thinking is on a smaller scale, and this is a quote. And once you start getting better and better, you get more and more satisfied with yourself. He says neither one of us, Martina or I, could be number 1 if we stayed in Czechoslovakia. He said, I really believe that moving here to the U.S. has helped us to take that extra step. Just short, and the last sentence in that quote was, just by living here, you get to be more competitive. It's an interesting thought from him, and I think it's true.
Well, I think that's very true. I think that the American system is very much more professional, and you get much more dedicated and prepared to work hard. You know, it's easier to see the goal, and therefore it's easier to work hard. Although the European countries are really coming along with their tennis champions and their players, There's still so many more players in the United States than there are in the whole of Europe put together. Something like twice as many. I can't tell you exact figures, but it's in the hundreds of thousands, and it is about twice as many as in the whole of Europe.
Try to guide that backhand. She was caught out of position slightly. It didn't work.
30-15.
And this is really a very low-key game right here, because nothing is really quite too serious compared with the first set, and that point was just, I don't know, just very strange, very relaxed from Martina.
Dangerous play, as a matter of fact. You see her giving a hand to Natalia, because I think while you've got someone of her capability down, you might as well stomp on her, otherwise she
Quite.
can come back.
This is about the next game as the last chance for Natasha to get back in the set.
First game for Natalia Zvereva in the second set, 4-1 for Martina Navratilova. She lost the first set. Graf cannot be caught no matter what happens, so she has won the first prize, the 1988 point standings of the Virginia Slims Tour, followed by, as you've seen, Navratilova, Everett, Gabriela Sabatini, number 5, Pam Shriver. Then Stina Garrison, Sukova, Manuela Malila, Dakota Kirsch, and Natalia Zvereva is number 10, but believe me, this championship here is going to change that. They will all, of course, play in the Masters at the end of the year in Madison Square Garden. Our coverage next weekend, next Sunday, of the Virginia Slims of Chicago will be the last tournament before the Masters.
Well, that's right. Next week is the last tournament for them to add points. And the Virginia Slims Championship starts in Madison Square Garden the following week. And Steffi Graf is not playing next week either. She played a tournament in England, in Brighton, last week, which she won, of course. She always wins. She only lost twice this year, but she's had such a remarkable year, and she played a very good final match, but that winning the Olympic gold took quite a lot out of her emotionally. Wow,
Oh, yes.
very good.
Terrific volley from Zvereva.
And that's a tough shot there. Martina actually handles it very well, but what does she get at that? And you know, because I think because Zvereva is a little bit casual, has been a little casual, I think it's actually affected Martina's concentration as well. So what he was saying was quite right last game. Should have put her away.
3 break points. One is all Natalia needed. Now Martina is still ahead with a commanding lead, 4-2, but it is not near as commanding as it was just moments ago when she had 4 games to love and a chance maybe to put Natalia away. She did not take it, and so now the second set really becomes a horse race.
Always difficult to play somebody, though, who goes a little bit up and down in their concentration. In fact, Natasha said against Chris, her concentration was so good, Chris's, that it helped her own. It's brilliant tennis. Very good volley. It's just an excellent shot from Martina. To be able to just fade that ball and find the line. She had to leave it, Natasha, both because she was hard-pressed to get it, and I think she thought it might slide out. Now 15.
wonder, like you do, whether it wouldn't be smarter for Martina just to wait for that ball in the back inside, chip it and come in, because as you said, aggression really means getting to the net, not hitting the ball hard necessarily.
And keeping the ball low on the surface. Even if that was in, it was going to bounce higher with the topspin than her slice would.
15 all. And the double fault.
15-30.
Fifth double fault. Martina hasn't served any. Martina served a couple of aces. This court plays very well. It's a very well-balanced court. If you really serve well, you can serve and volley. If you don't, you can play the points out from the baseline.
It's a supreme court.
Martina wanting a forehand again.
That's a great shot. A little bit like Sabatini. Kind of get into a rally, hitting crosscourt at the backhand side, and suddenly, boom, down the line.
Just suddenly whiffs it, but she takes it on the rise, which is so good. It's very hard to get that much power when the ball is actually up higher, because you sort of need to flick through as well. Very good.
Natalia Zvereva has come back and is looking a lot more enthusiastic about the second set since she won 2 in a row. It's 4 games to 2 for Martina and game point for Zvereva. That's a great shot.
Well, anything you can do, I can do better, and it was just a magnificent shot. She put so much backspin on that. Can't hit a drop shot any better than that. Brilliant. So deuce.
Break point for Navratilova now. They're ahead 5-2 in the second set. With 2 serve breaks. So this is a big point. Very nearly a double, which would have been her 6th.
Martina really has to move to actually hit this ball on the forehand. She's getting it close down the tee. And again, not getting anything out of that shot. And she really has to scamper all over the place to actually take it on the forehand, and to no avail at all. Fine shot, that. The first serve having another little lapse. Just missed.
Look of despair from Natalia to man in the chair. He's not going to overrule it. He was on the other side of the court. A few whistles from the folks in the crowd, but it's an interesting choice for Martina because Zvereva has such good passing shots that you have to wonder whether it's wise to come in too soon. Break point again. broken again. That gives her 5 games to 2, representing 2 serve breaks in the second set. She needs them, though, because she is a set down, lost in the tiebreaker. For winning the PGA, the final PGA Tour event of the season. Navratilova serving at 5-2. In the second set, she lost the first.
And there's no rhythm from either player right now. Obviously some great shots, but also some peculiar errors. Good serve. And against somebody like Zvereva, it is, of course, very hard to find your rhythm because nothing she does is easy to read. And she changes the pace so well, so she does not give you a steady rhythm at all. Whoa, close.
Two points from the second set for Navratilova.
Well, and in the last few games, Natalia has started to employ that high bounding ball, and that gives us a little bit of an example of how it was playing her in Paris for Martina, because the ball bounces so high, and she did a lot of that. Also in Canada on a higher bouncing court.
It worked on both occasions. Natalia Zvereva has beaten Martina twice this year. She's lost twice. Once on grass and once indoor on a similar surface. And break point now for Zvereva.
And Martina let her off the hook. She had a relatively easy ball to make the passing shot and put it right onto Natalia's racket. That could have been a passing shot. She's got a second bite at the cherry, but actually, now that's an improved stroke of Natasha's as well, that overhead.
Well, Natalia Zvereva, by the way, I'm saying Natalia and Virginia is calling her Natasha. They're both correct. Natasha is her nickname. I don't know who will not call her that yet. Break serve for the second time, but she's been broken 3 times in the set. Navratilova still ahead 5-3, which of course now represents just 1 serve break.
Well, she's trying it again, but either that ball just skid too deep or wasn't the right time to do it. Natasha does not want to give Martina easy points right now. Another one.
I have the feeling that Natalia, in her own mind, if she was a little stronger mentally, could really have come back here. But I think that in her mind, this set is history. Love 30.
I've definitely noticed this when I've watched her playing throughout the year, that she has these patches where she looks as if she's in a bit of a slump, or she's a bit moody, or she doesn't feel like being out there, and then she sort of tries to pull herself together, and sometimes she can and sometimes she can't. Usually it's just because she hits so many brilliant shots that she does get through. Yeah, very short. Martina just ate that up.
2 set points now for Martina.
15-14.
like Yvonne Goolagong's walkabout in the old days.
It's a long time to concentrate in a long, close-fought match. And there's another of her great shots.
Zvereva just 17 years old, Martina Navratilova now 32.
She was just 32 a few weeks ago.
Wealth of experience. Set point.
Well, you know, Cliff, she decided finally to take it on the backhand, but she hasn't really had any practice during the match to hit it. So suddenly on set point, she does something that she hasn't been doing the rest of the match, and she didn't make the shot.
Deuce.
You know, I've also seen Martina play so many matches this year when you think that she's just about to start absolutely rolling home, and then suddenly it leaves her.
Game point. So, Martina Navratilova will have to serve for the second set. She won the first 7-6 and leads 5-4 now in the second. She's serving for the second set now, but she trails by 1-0. Immediately following the tennis live, auto racing, the NASCAR Winston Cup Checker 500s. Stay tuned, please, for that.
Just out. And this is a real test for Martina. Yesterday she played Sabatini and she was really tested all the way through the first set and won it. And then the second set was relatively easy, but good shot.
Martina has had her chances, 2 set points the last time that Natalia served.
Nothing she can do about that. Such a difficult first volley she had to make. It was way down low. She actually handled that very well.
Makes this one a big point, doesn't it? 30 all or 40-15 and another 2 set points. Two more set points, this time on Navratilova's serve for the second set to even things at 1 set all. 40-15.
No flashes, please.
Oh.
Well, and this is the frustration of playing against Natasha. Chris found this last night. Just when you think you might get a little bit lucky, she flashes a winner like that past you.
Another opportunity spoiled by Navratilova's backhand volley. It is deuce.
And that was a really edgy volley. And it really surprises me, Cliff, when I see Martina get edgy like this. I mean, you can understand why, but you also look at her and think she's so supreme. Difficult second serve.
his line's cursor. So it's deuce. We'll replay the corner.
Yeah, he corrected himself. He let out the call a little bit too early. The ball looked as if it shot off the line. So, in fact, Martina's probably got a little bit, well, who knows? Yeah, it looks as if, I don't know whether she checked because he had called. He made a very early call, or because the ball skid.
Turned out to be lucky for Martina, actually, because if it got the line, well, it would have been a break point.
Yep. And that would have been a second serve at the time before, so she did get a little lucky there.
Set point, third of this game for Martina. One set all. Navratilova had her chances ahead, 4 games to love, and throughout that second set, finally got to 5-3, then 5-4 after 2 set points, so Martina converts on her